Bugonia next. Now, I saw this film last night. I actually put out a little review, a little short review on my first thoughts coming out of the theater. So let's talk about what it is being rated critically right now. So right now it's with 86% critic rating on Rotten Tomatoes and 85% on the audience rating. Overall, that's a pretty solid, pretty great numbers for reviews, and it sounds like it's getting good reception. Now, going into the film, seeing the trailer, I was very interested with, especially with Emma Stone, with Jesse Plemons. You have two actors just killing it right now. Both, I know Emma Stone recently got her Oscar with this same director with the film Poor Things, and Jesse Plemons. I feel like Jesse Plemons is almost like the second coming of Philip Seymour Hoffman. He is just fantastic in how he delivers his performances. He's so stoic. He's so serious, yet he can be like comically serious, and it's very neat how he approaches his way to performances. So essentially, the film is about two cousins who plan to kidnap this kind of mogul, this super popular slash famous woman in Emma Stone's character. As we're following them, it's funny. This film almost kind of puts them as a protagonist when the trailer almost pits it as Emma Stone is the protagonist. But it's really interesting. The film mainly follows them, and as you are going throughout the film, it's essentially a battle between Plemons and Emma Stone. They're kind of just going back and forth. I think overall, this film is a great, almost like knockout ring kind of set up with them too. I mean, like I said before, you have two super popular actors at their top right now, just doing the work. They are just crushing it. This film also stars this new actor. I think this is his first role. His name is Aiden Delbus. He's the one in this photo right there next to Jesse Plemons. He plays his cousin, and his role is kind of interesting. He doesn't talk too much, but he kind of acts as like this tie to Emma Stone's character. Like he can kind of connect to her in a way, and it's very interesting. And now, of course, this film talks about the extraterrestrial, which I won't dive into too much of that because I won't go into spoilers. But the way this film talks about aliens and what they show, um, it's very, very interesting. I will say that. I will say for most of the film, about 70% of the film, I thought it was really, really solid. Like there wasn't anything that I can connect to. There wasn't anything that I was necessarily super excited for, except the performances. Like that's always great. But as the story kind of goes along, for like I said, about like 3/4 of the film, like it's good. But when the film really kicks into overdrive, is the last half. It is insanity what happens. And like I said, I won't go into it, but it's really fun, especially between Jesse Plemons and Emma Stone and all the happenings that happen between them. It's just wild and it's a lot of fun. Now, whenever I get into a film, whenever I kind of review a film, I want to take it in two ways. One, how did I feel about it? What emotional reaction did it give me? And also, what was my experience with it? I feel like films are like experiential, emotional experiential vessels that are for us that we can interpret however which way we want it to. You can like it, you dislike it. That's what's great about opinions. And for me, how I felt about this film, I don't really know. I think overall it was just this interesting setup with these characters and how I kind of felt about it. I didn't really get a visceral reaction until, of course, the very end. But if I had to kind of talk about it overall, I'm just kind of so. Um, did it give me any emotional feeling? Not necessarily. I think there are some pretty shocking things that happen that evoke a reaction that evoked a reaction out of me, which is fun. But overall, I'd say it was a real solid film. I definitely recommend it, especially for what happens in the back half. It's super exciting. David, is there anything that stood out to you if you've seen it or if you just saw the trailer? Let me know.
Yeah, I haven't seen this. I just watched the trailer, and within the first 25 seconds, I was ready to go watch this movie. It
Yeah,
looks really interesting. Premise is, I think a lot of people can relate to it because conspiracy theories are very popular, and
absolutely.
some of them legitimate. some of them, most of them, are not legitimate, not based in reality. And when you hear about the premise of this movie, you think, wow, that's one of those. I'm still intrigued because it is a very interesting premise. You know, Jesse Plemons is thin again. And, you know, last time he was thin was Breaking Bad. I don't know
Right.
if he was thin before then. He stole the show in Civil War for me.
Oh my God.
Like
Don't get me started on Civil War.
he had such a
So
brief
good.
role, but he stole the movie. Like
He did.
complete when he was on screen and what he did, fantastic.
Absolutely.
And I noticed he looks a lot younger when he's thin. like he lost about 10 years um, when he's thin because I'm like, man, he looks a lot younger than when he did in Civil War. So I've heard a lot of good things. I've heard some good reviews from people online about this movie. And you said you really liked it. How long is the movie?
I think it was I can't actually remember, but, like, in terms of the feeling the movie, because usually you can kinda feel a runtime of a film. It does feel a little long, just a little bit,
Okay.
but, yeah, I don't remember. I wanna say it was around 2 hours, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
But,
All right.
again, yeah, it felt like a substantial amount.
I think if I can get to the theater, great. But I think I'm definitely gonna watch this.
Yeah, I also wanted to touch on Stavros Halkios, the comedian, which I'm not too familiar with his work, but his role in this film is it's kind of brief, but he does impact it in an interesting way. There's some really neat backstory between his character. He plays a police officer, and his character and Jesse Plemons' character. Apparently, he was the babysitter of him at one point, and there were some interesting things that happened with that storyline. So it was cool to see him in a role because I don't know if he's acted really much. I think I was looking at his IMDb, and he's been in some stuff, but he's not really known for being an actor. He's mainly just the comedian doing podcasts and stuff. So it was cool to see him in this. I would definitely like to see him in more things. Another thing I wanted to touch on was the cinematography. As someone who wants to make films, I'd say the one thing I love the most is the cinematography and how something is shot and framed. And this film is super intentional in what it wants to show. There's a lot of dialogue scenes that are shot in a very specific way where it's like it's not traditional and it's a little uneasy. There's been definitely a lot of like low angle shots looking up at Jesse Plemons and looking up at Emma Stone as they're just talking back and forth. And it's really interesting. It's almost unsettling in some ways. There's definitely some shots that are like purposely shot in an unsettling way, and then they'll kind of like they'll say for example shoot like a house. There'll be like a almost like a house on a prairie kind of thing. There'll be a super wide shot, and they'll kind of zoom in slowly, and they're super intentional with the film work in this, so that's always great to see. Music also was super intentional. There's a lot of great moments and surprising moments where they put music in. I'd say for most of the film you don't really hear much, you don't really hear much in terms of music, but there are moments that they specifically put it right here. It's like, oh shit, oh wow, and it's pretty jarring, but I think that's by design. So that's our talk on Begonia. If you've seen it, anyone out there watching us, let us know in the comments what you thought of it. I would love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to have a conversation.